Hello, everyone. 411 Business, JC Coffee here. And today we have Victor Williams, founder and CEO of Quest to Freedom. Victor, tell us about Victor and Quest to Freedom.
Well, first of all, great to see you, CJ. I mean, JC. All
You do
right,
that
so
all the
good morning, and it's 11 o'clock. Anyway, no, thank you for having us and giving us an opportunity to talk about Quest to Freedom. Basically, I'm a retired special agent with Homeland Security. In the last 8 years of my career, I worked human trafficking that changed me as a human being. And, from those experiences, I've always said that if most men knew what I know about human trafficking and decided to act on it, we could really make a big difference in the world in this issue with human trafficking. So, in starting Quest to Freedom, which is an anti-human trafficking organization that basically what we do here is educate on the cultural awareness that created human trafficking and perpetuates the problem. It is the culture that we live in that we really don't understand sometimes. But when we're educated about human trafficking, we can see these issues and make different decisions on how we deal with things. The second thing that we're striving to do basically is raise enough funding that no victim will ever be left in the cold. And raising enough funding, we would register with the national hotline. So when law enforcement or service providers come across human trafficking victims and they really don't have a place to put them, Quest to Freedom wants to be able to provide them with hotel stay. If home is the safe place to be, we want to be able to give them a bus ticket, plane ticket back home. If that's an Uber ride somewhere, but we want to be able to say no victim will ever be left in the cold again when discovered as a victim, as long as Quest to Freedom, is here. And then lastly, it's about partnerships. In the 14 years that I've worked in human trafficking, no one works in this space alone. This is something that we're not going to arrest our way out of it. This is talking about, helping families, deal with their trauma issues, because what we understand about human trafficking is unresolved trauma creates vulnerabilities. So basically, our message with families as parents, create space where your children can really talk to you about things. Mothers, parents, fathers, deal with your traumas so that you're not passing them on to your children, right?
let me stop you right there really quick, Victor. When you talk about dealing with the trauma and what you've experienced and how we all can play a part in that.
Right.
When you talk about that, can you touch bases on that just a little bit so people can understand a little bit more what you mean by that?
So I tell people human trafficking victims and traffickers are created in homes all around the world. And basically, we grew up in a culture that most parents raised their kids the way that they were raised. And we know from today that a lot of the way that we were, like, I'm 60 years old. I know I don't
Wow.
look it, but
Yes, you're
uh,
not.
just turned 60 the other day. But there was a lot of things that how parenting was back then that when we look at today is abusive. And then you have some people say, well, I turned out all right and it was okay. But really, some of those things are really abusive and traumatizing. So what we have to know, if I don't deal with my traumas, or if my mom or my parents, beat me, or if they verbally abuse me, if they did horrible things to me and I never dealt with that stuff, then maybe when I have my kids, I'm doing the same things to my kids, or maybe not doing the same things, but those traumas, those unhealed traumas is not letting me be the best parent I can be. And so what happens, we passing this trauma on to our kids. It's called generational trauma. So somebody has to break that train of trauma so that the family can take a new birth and how they exist. So just know, unresolved trauma creates vulnerability, and that's what traffickers seek to exploit. But really, our secret weapon for all of that, JC, and some of your audience, people may think this is crazy, but the true answer in that to address all these issues is love. And, we use the word love so much that it really doesn't have any meaning. And so what we're trying to, educate here at Quest of Freedom is that we need to redefine what love is. And love is mostly about what we are doing, not what we are feeling. There are a lot of human trafficking victims claiming that they love their trafficker, right? There's a lot of traffickers saying that they love their human trafficking victim, but meanwhile, go out and sell your body, or I'm going to beat you or threaten you or your family. That is not love. We know that stuff is not love. And if you don't love yourself, how do you receive love? How do you give love? So it's a lot of healing things that we have to do within ourselves, because, whenever I'm speaking to audiences, or even the people, even your audience here, everybody that's listening to this has the power to do something about human trafficking. But first, it requires a change within all of us, dealing with our own issues, dealing with the understanding the culture of human trafficking that we may be participating in and not even knowing it because it's culture. It's been okay to do certain things.
So let's talk about that. Let's stop right there. That's very important. And then I want to touch a little bit back on that love. But let's talk about how our culture allows us to be part of human trafficking and we don't even know it. So can you talk about that a little bit?
So some of your audiences may say, I don't go to strip clubs and I don't buy sex workers. What do I need to know about human trafficking? Well, sex trafficking is, something that we all talk about, but labor trafficking is 60 to 70% of all trafficking. And what does that mean? It means if you own a cell phone like I do, you can buy food and clothes like I can. We have a minimum of 40 to 60 slaves working for us. So I live in Florida, and I guarantee you, if you live in Florida, you know somebody that's living here that's undocumented. And the question is, are they being trafficked? Meaning, work these extra hours for this less pay, work these extra hours, or even have sex with me. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm threatening you by turning you into Homeland Security. If any of these things are happening to people that are undocumented, they need to know that they have rights. People don't get to exploit you just because you're undocumented, right? So labor trafficking is huge. I like to also use this with audience and ask audience, how many people eat chocolate? A lot of people eat chocolate, but if they're eating chocolate that is not marked fair trade, then most likely that chocolate started on the west coast of Africa with a stolen or sold child picking a cocoa bean that's never eaten chocolate. So the more that we learn about human trafficking and culture, because a lot of things we just do without thinking about it, the more we're educated, the more we get to see, like, wait a minute, I never thought about that. I never seen it that way. And now things begin to come more clear about how you see things the more we educate ourselves in this space.
Now, let's talk a little bit about, you said love, when it comes to getting involved. What about the people who think, oh, well, I don't need to focus on anything like this because it's not happening in my world. So I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to focus on it.
Well, Quest of Freedom, our tagline is love is everything. And we really believe that here, because if we think about it, our brains fully mature between the ages of 24 and 30. Most people don't even know that, right? So if you're dealing with children, and I always like to talk about children because children are our future. They get to change the culture. The more that we empower them, the better our world would be in the future. Because to be honest, a lot of us adults have really screwed it up for them if you really think about where we are in our world today. So I say that if you can teach a child real love, how they treat themselves, because the measurement of real love, are the boundaries you set for yourself, which educates people how to treat you. You can't speak to me that way. You can't treat me that way. That's a measurement of true love, when you can tell people, nah, you can't treat me that way, right? So if you can give a child true love when they walk out the door, knowing it's not about how I feel, because remember, there are trafficking victims believing that they love their trafficker. it's it's like being in this situation that if I kidnapped you and kept you hostage, the more time you spend with me, you're gonna develop some emotional attachments to me. That doesn't mean I have your best interests at heart, but you're gonna have some emotional attachments to me. And so what happens is that we think our feelings are all about love. That's just feelings. Love is really about what we do, how people treat you, how you treat yourself, how you set your boundaries to let people know how to treat you. And if you can send a child out the door feeling love for themselves, then I don't have to belong to the cool group. I don't care what you say about me because words don't hurt me, because I love myself. And when I get to talk to kids about this, hurt people hurt people. So when I tell kids, when you go to school and you're feeling great about this morning, you had a great breakfast, you're feeling good, and then the bully comes in who's feeling really bad and want everybody else to feel bad because they're hurt. Remember, hurt people, and start saying horrible things to you to make you feel bad. If you take what I'm saying to heart and really practice this, because I know it's nothing that happens overnight, but if you start practicing this, loving yourself and not letting words get you, because now I'm giving that bully control of me. If I start reacting, not responding, reacting to this bully and letting his words hurt, I just gave that bully control. But if I can look at that bully and say to that bully, man, you're really hurting today. Maybe you feel bad for the bully. Maybe that bully will all of a sudden start feeling compassion because as he's trying to hurt someone, but this person he's trying to hurt is looking at them and going, hey man, or young lady, I feel bad for you. Is there anything I can do to help you? Imagine what the world we're living if we're treating people like that.
It's
So
goes treating them with love and respect, and even when it seems like the most odd, out of ordinary thing to do. When someone is hurting you, instantly people think you want to hurt them back. But
that's our
when you're
culture.
de-escalating the situation, it's all about the de-escalation of the situation.
I call it, we got to look at our lives. Am I reacting or responding? If I'm reacting to I'm letting whatever's happening outside of me affect me emotionally, and am I reacting emotionally? But if I'm responding and say to myself, I'm not giving that, whether it's a person or anything outside, I'm not giving that power to control my day. We do have the power to control how we feel about things. But we
That's
live in
where
this
the
culture.
emotional intelligence comes in that people
Exactly.
don't talk about. People are so quick to talk about what college, what Ivy League college, what's your IQ, but really you can be the smartest person in the world, but if you're not emotionally intelligent, you'll lose a lot.
This is something that, I've evolved to. I haven't always been this way my whole life. And so one of the things that, over time, working in human trafficking and understanding trauma, understanding so much about trauma bonding, like culturally, we look at a person that's standing free, no chain or whatever, and saying, well, they must want to stay there. They can go to the cops. Why are they not running? Because we don't understand the invisible chains. If I have your mind, I got your body.
Yep.
And then we don't understand why victims don't want to run. Like I can remember times in my career that I pulled someone out of a situation and they want to go back. I didn't understand what trauma bonding. Sometimes, we live in a world, and I always say there's no growth in your comfort zone. But even the most painful situation you living in, you can find comfort in that because that's all you know. So we got to be willing to step outside our comfort zones to be able to grow, especially when they're harmful and painful. We got to, build some type of courage and strength to step away from that so that we can really find our true selves and get on a true path of us having the lives that we really want to have.
That's so important. So many people think that where they are in life right now is where they're always going to be. They're just stuck because of their past. But if they understood that their past is to be learned from, not lived in, yet we have to, people like us, people like your organization, it takes us to care. It takes us to have compassion.
Right.
to be there to show them, because how would they know?
You know, when I'm talking with friends, sometimes I ask, you know, would you change anything in your past if it would jeopardize the person that you are right now? And some people really think about that. And some people go, yeah, I would change a lot of things. And, and sometimes that's an indication of where you are with yourself. But if you're okay with yourself in your life, I wouldn't change anything, because all the pain, all the trauma, all the bull crap that I've gone through, and you're still here, you're still alive. That helps build you. It makes you better. It gives you strength. If you look at it, the worst thing in the world can happen to you can be the best thing in the world that happens to you if you apply it in the right way. At the end of the day, we can't change our past. So we don't look at it to relive it, like you just said. Look at it and learn what not to do. Our past is about us learning, not living, right? So that's a
Exactly.
really good point, you know?
I love it, because I talk to so many people, and, some people just think, oh, that's too mushy. That's emotional stuff. I don't have emotions. But the people who, everyone has emotions, whether we say we have emotions, whether we've learned how to put it and compartmentalize it or not. But most people haven't. And so being compassionate and empathetic, just listening and giving resources and understanding that that person's been through a lot. They've been
Yeah.
through a lot, and most of people would never even be able to fathom what they've been through.
And then, saying that, it helps me deal with judgment. Like we're human beings. We always feel we judge people. To help me to stop trying to judge people, everybody's on their own journey. I don't care what your life has been through. You are your own journey. And so nobody's walked in your shoes. Nobody knows why you feel the way that you feel or do what you do, right? So if we start looking at people, that everybody's on their journey, and as our path cross, whether it's negative or positive, we can't take everything that somebody's done or doing and apply it to ourselves or judge them on it. I don't know what your journey has been. I don't know your traumas. We've all had it. I talk to law enforcement a lot, and there are more law enforcement people that are killing themselves than dying in the line of duty, and people don't know that. And so when I'm talking to law enforcement, that tells you whether they're bringing that trauma on from their own personal life, let alone what's added to their life doing the job in law enforcement. It's a lot of trauma. So if we're not checking ourselves, if we're not, looking out for each other, you know, this is the problem, right? And it's okay to not be okay. And we're a country that's just starting to really accept, mental illness as the illness it's always been. So yeah, tell your audience it's okay to not be okay. And if you're not okay, it's okay to go find a professional to help you through a tough time. We all need help, and that's what professionals are there for. The one thing that we're not talking about in police reform is having these officers, other than after something happened, getting some type of psychological evaluation. There should be a yearly thing that officers are going through a psychological evaluation to just make sure that they're okay. That's the same thing for all of us. It should be part of our culture that we do a check-in with a professional to see, just make sure that we're okay, because things are going to happen.
When you talk about law enforcement, imagine we only talk about the negative aspect. We do not talk about that they see trauma 24/7. So if they couldn't compartmentalize, they would not be able to function, because as anything, we understand that we become desensitized to things,
Exactly.
and we have to function in life. So it's important, we always talk about the negative from the law, right? But
Right.
these people are there and they are subjected to trauma 24/7. And so learning to process it, not, excuse me, not turning it off, but processing it is a whole key component within itself. That's, like
Yeah.
you said, not even talked about.
Right. And we all should be looking out for each other, man. We're all so hurt and damaged dealing with our own crap that we see things, we want to judge people. because maybe it makes us feel better if we know people are doing worse than we are. But at the end of the day, we all live here together. And the ultimate goal for Quest is when we do our seminars or trainings, we want to leave people feeling empowered with information that they can take and apply to themselves. Because the better that I am as a human being, the better I treat you as a human being. And so, what's wrong with being okay with yourself? What's wrong with loving yourself? What's wrong with, let's change that message. Let's have a blanket definition of what love is. And it's really about all the good things that we do for each other, or how we manage the bad things, because the life ain't perfect. Things are going to happen. So it's how we deal with those things that are bad, more so. Like, it's easy living when life is good, but how are we when things go bad? And that's the true measurement of our happiness. Because believe me, the world ain't perfect. And S is going to happen. S is going to happen, right? So, that's how we measure stuff. So, for me, I just live in a space that I say to myself, I live from the inside out, that no person, no thing, anything outside of me is not going to make me feel a certain way about myself, or is going to make me decide what kind of day I'm going to have. I get to decide that. I'm not giving anything outside of me the power to determine what I'm going to have. It ain't easy. And it's stuff I got to work with every day, but I know I'm making progress, because the other day I was driving in traffic, and, I still drive like a cop. So that means aggressive. So I was driving a little aggressive, and I stopped really quick at this stop sign, at this stoplight, to make a right on red, when this person in the other car, maybe they didn't think I was going to stop. They drove by me and they were like, ah! They were like yelling, ah! And you know what? I just started laughing. I just like, man, this person is really having a tough day, because the old Vic would have been, F you too, ah! But I know I'm making progress. But this is something that we have to work on every day, and it's something that I work on every day. And when I know I'm starting to react to something, I try to catch myself and like, step back, Vic. You're reacting from your emotions. You're not responding to this properly. So I think something as simple as that, if we just started practicing understanding when we're reacting to something instead of responding, I think it would make our lives a lot easier.
And some of that just comes by, little things, like, just like you said, and then being mindful, maybe writing it down, because a lot of times people don't even know. They say, well, I know that I do this and this and this, and I feel bad afterwards, but I don't know how to not do it. So just the recognition, right? Recognizing and maybe making note of it. And
Yes.
then next time when it starts to happen, you recognize it again, maybe even a little quicker, and you change it, because there's no magic pill. There's
Right.
no, but it does take time. And
Right.
some people don't even know where to begin or how to even do it.
Well, I like, some people go, it's just the way I am. No, it's the way you're choosing to be. We really have the power to be the people we want to be. If you want to be a good person, just start being good, being kind. Like, there's this thing about being nice and kind. Nice is this thing about being a people pleaser. Kind is about being, kind, but still, maintaining who you are. So let's define the word kind and just practice that. Just because people do harm, say something negative or do something negative, if there are people that are really important to you, it's not a green light for you to start reacting and cursing them back out or treating them how they're treating you. It's a green light for you to tell them who you are and how to treat you, because people will treat you how you allow them.
Yes.
So, that old saying, like, treat people how you want to be treated. Be careful, because there are certain people that don't have respect for themselves. So if they're calling you outside your name and all of that, and you see that's how they are, the question is, if you're reacting the same way, then you're probably that same person.
Exactly. And you can't say treat. I tell people all the time, never say treat someone the way you want to be treated, because you hear people all the time say, hey, treat me how you would want me to treat you. I never, because I don't want people to treat me how they treat themselves. I don't. I'm
Right.
like, love me, be
Yeah,
tender to me, be sweet
right,
to me. I'm a precious egg. I will
right,
go to bat for you. I will care for you, but
right,
do not be cut and dry with me. I don't do well with that.
right, exactly. But
I'm like, I'm tender. Love me, hug me. I
no,
give
this
love a
was
whole new meaning.
it's a lifelong, it's sad it took me 50 something years to get to this point in my life. But, so the journey right now for me is different. I've made a lot of changes. And now it's like, how do I find comfort in this new person after living years and just doing crazy stuff and find peace and happiness? And the more I live in this space and the more I'm really connecting to myself, I'm finding the authentic me. And that authentic me is, is a kind, loving person that strives every day to be better than I was yesterday. That's all we can do is, and it's funny because, a lot of people say, I'm trying. My spiritual guide will always say, if you're trying, you're lying. Just do it, right?
You're either doing it or you're not.
Right. And the other day it evolved to me in this space. Using the word trying is your comfort word to help you escape what you really should be doing, right?
Not hold
You know
yourself
you should,
accountable.
exactly. So using the word trying is your word, and I like the way you put it, is your word for not, is your comfort word for not holding yourself really, really accountable for what you should be doing.
Exactly. That is good. I'm going to say that from now on. You're trying, now you're lying.
Yeah, you're trying
If
your
you're
line.
trying, you're
Get it
lying.
done. Get it done. And stop using that comfort word. Let's get it done. But it's stuff we got to work on, and it's not easy. But once you get into the rhythm of just practicing good, being a good person to yourself, be good to yourself. Because I can't give you what I don't have, right? I can't love you if I don't love myself. I can't receive your love if you're a loving person and I don't love myself. I can't even receive love because I can't see your kindness and your love because I got so much crap in me, right? So just wake up every day and tell yourself you love yourself, and I'm going to be better. And words are powerful when you're applying them to yourself in the right way. You know.
Well, I want to speak on that just a little bit. Mirror work. What I tell people is this: you are so powerful. Just go into your bathroom every morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, "I love you. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on me when I don't even take care of you right."
Yeah.
And then at nighttime, go back to that same mirror and look in there and talk and say, "Thank you for taking care of me now." Today, how was our day? Would I have wanted to be your significant other today? Would
Yeah.
I have wanted to be your wife? Would I have wanted to be your daughter? And if you're a gentleman, would I have wanted to be your brother, your father, your significant other,
Yeah.
your uncle? Because you are the one that can hold yourself accountable. And it
No,
all starts with you. And it's
that's
simple. It's called mirror work. You can look it up online and you don't have to have a prescription. You don't have to go anywhere. If you have a phone, you don't even have to go to the bathroom. You can turn your phone on FaceTime or whatever video and look at yourself and talk to yourself. And it makes the biggest difference.
what's helped me progress is, like, sometimes we have negative thoughts. Negativity is always going to be around. And so what helps me deal with that negativity, I just tell myself I love myself. I don't want to have these negative thoughts. I love myself. I love myself. Think positive, or think of something positive. Refuse to accept negativity into your heart, into your mind, because your mind is receiving all this information and your body is pretty much reacting to it, right?
Yes.
So if you're allowing negative stuff, you're allowing negative energy, you're looking for negativity. You're not looking for positive stuff, because I honestly believe there's positive in everything. And even if you don't see that, whatever it is, it's a lesson. So again, when I'm having these deep conversations with parents, I'm like, let your children make mistakes. Don't beat them up. If you want to kill, their energy and their confidence, then you beat them up. Oh, you made a mistake. You're a dummy. You're this. We should never say these harmful words to our kids. You know, when kids make mistakes, we should look at them and go, okay, it's a mistake. We all make them. The question we should be asking, what did you learn from it so you don't do it again? You know, there's something so simple as that, is treating kids with kindness instead of yelling at them. I remember seeing these football players. You know, he was on this talk show. I forget what it was, but he says you can't yell at your kids at night and expect them to have a good sleep. You can't yell at them in the morning expecting them to have a good day. We got to feed our kids with positivity. We got to feed them with love. If we can change the culture and just start taking care of our kids, they would eventually take care of us, because they would change this crazy world that we live in right now.
And it just takes one. I mean, everyone, it really just takes one person to love and to show, because it is a domino effect. It's called the love effect. And when you start loving someone and you're just that example, you don't have to be magnificent, just care. When they go high, you go low, and just be there. You don't need to fix anything, but just being there is the love effect, because people attack the people that they love because they're the ones that care. Yeah. And so when you talk about the love effect, it's so real and nobody talks about it at all, but it is so powerful. And what it means is just loving people through it. I tell, anyone, my kids, anyone, if I'm upset, the way to deal with me is hug me. Hug me, because that oxytocin that is released, just that 6 seconds of that, is a game changer. Yeah. And yes, some people you can't just hug randomly, but you can be compassionate. You can say, I'm sorry that you feel that way, or tell me about it. You don't have to fix it, but the love effect is a domino effect. It really changes, just like a smile changes.
It's so just profound. Be kind, Yeah. If we can just start being kind with ourselves, then we could be kind with others. And then we can see when people are being kind to us. But if we're stuck with so much negativity and anger, then, we're not going to see that, And I tell kids when I get to talk to them, it's not their fault or who they are. We're adults. We program our kids to who they are, but then we hold them responsible for it. Then we blame them for it. It's like, you're a horrible kid. Well, you must have been a horrible parent, because I don't think kids are born bad or evil. No. I don't think kids are born racist or full with hate. We teach them this stuff. Kids are just kids. And if we were really living in a culture of understanding them, they're really creative and really creative. I was watching something last night to show they were doing this test about kids and how creative and really smart they are if we adults would just listen to them sometimes, But because we give them all of our trauma, we kill that. We kill their creativities. We put kids in situations, they're full of energy, but we make them go to places where they got to sit and be quiet, it's torture, right? Torture. But we just got to, it is, so I don't know, just parents, if you're listening, just find a way to take what we're saying today, look deep in your heart, find love for yourself, start just telling yourself, like you said, JC, you love yourself, just start there. Start just when things are negative, just say you love yourself or think positive or think of something positive. And I promise you, within days of just staying in that, you'll see a change. You'll start to see a change. And the more you practice it, the more, you'll see a change in your life. And people will see a change and you're like, what's going on with you, Because you'll start turning off. I won't react or respond or hang out with negative people. It's always like nothing good to say. Everything is negative, whether it's political or gossiping. And I'm not trying to be around that energy. I'm trying to leave the world better than I found it. I'm trying to leave myself better than I found it. Yes. I'm trying to leave my daughter, the best father that I could be, just setting examples of just how to be a good person, a good, kind person, you know?
And it really is the love effect, because even on this call, this, video that we're doing right now, it's like we feel each other's energy, when we're happy and we are passionate, you feel those things. So the love effect is transferable.
Well, I love this new project for you because you're the right person for this. Your smile, your energy. I know you're a good person. I know you're a caring person. So I don't know if always the 411 business is talking about love, but but I know you'll bring the best out of people and give them that energy to, so even out of the horrible thing, the work that I do in this situation of human trafficking, I've found the most important thing in the world to really talk about and to really grow around, and that's love. So if your audience want to learn more about human trafficking, please go to quest2freedom.org, and that's QUEST, the number 2 freedom.org, or Q2F.org. And just, follow us, social media, donate, because again, our ultimate goal, we're already doing the education, we're already doing the partnership, but the ultimate goal is to raise enough funds that no victim is ever left in the cold again. And I hope that this organization would thrive even after I'm gone, that peace will always be there for victims. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to talk about Quest to Freedom, talk about our message, and to see you, JC. It's always a
Thank you. I'm so excited. I love it. I will never forget when I seen the look on my face when I seen the Quest to Freedom, and you have the heart with the love. I'm like, because you know me, I'm a sucker for love. So I'm always talking about loving people. So I'm so appreciative. In 411 business, all of you, everyone matters. We all matter. And if you're in any kind of situation, you need anything, Victor is here. I've dealt with him on personal things, on business stuff. He's so phenomenal, and he listens. That's the biggest thing. And their organization is so phenomenal. So Victor, I want to thank you again for coming on. It's always a pleasure to be able to be with you.
Thank you for this opportunity and to see your big, beautiful smile.
Thank you, dear. All right.